everyone, welcome to Go Bad Dudley. I'm Chris King, and today I'll be reviewing Kauai. Now, Kauai is Childish Gambino's new mixtape. This actually came really as a surprise to me. I heard it, about a week or so, but it actually dropped, I believe, somewhere between like October 3rd and October, 12th, something around like that. The kind of first, week or so of October. So I was extremely surprised when this mixtape just kind of seemed to drop out of the blue. GBD, as I said before, is a division and where we're discussing games, film, and music. So music is still a really big part of it. But, unfortunately, we haven't been able to review too many albums, lately just because there hasn't really been many out. This is actually, obviously the fall season, and this tends to be an area where you really don't want to drop your album, of course, because usually you'll have abysmal sales. This is kind of how it goes. So it's a very interesting time, to be dropping any sort of new music, whether it be a new track or an album or a mixtape, those kind of things. But Childish Gambino actually has a history of trying, usually dropping his albums or mixtapes or EPs during this kind of fall-winter season. He likes to do it because there's not usually a lot of other people who actually do it during the season, as mentioned before. Now let's get to the mixtape itself. Kauai is a 7-track mixtape, and like I said, I actually had the pleasure of listening to it over these past couple weeks and kind of molded over. We wanted to do this review about it just because I'm such a big fan of Childish Gambino. Right before GBD started, when he dropped Because the Internet, I got to go see him live during the Deep Web tour and everything. I'm such a massive fan of Childish Gambino. I'm a massive fan of anything Donald Glover touches, whether it be writing, his music, or of course, his filmmaking, all this kind of stuff, So he's obviously an artist. He's extremely creative. So now this mixtape, how does it hold up to this, Childish Gambino legacy that he has going on right now? Well, as I mentioned before, I'm a really big fan. I love Camp, and I love Because the Internet is probably my favorite project that he's worked on. So Kauai is actually something of, I would say, a little bit more in line with Camp, more so than Because the Internet. Because the Internet was a concept album. It was this concept of, about making it into this kind of business and having to deal with ordeals that he's been facing, but also including so many pop culture references and musical references and all these other kind of stuff. Whereas Camp was much more about like kind of him just expressing himself, like where he is, where he was at that point. So Kauai is exactly the same kind of concept. Although obviously you can tell it's obviously a very Hawaiian kind of theme. Childish Gambino loves that kind of tropical lifestyle. You see it in his videos. He just dropped a Telegraph video as well, just like in line with this mixtape, and it really goes hand in hand. Visually, if you want a painted picture of this, go watch Telegraph, even though it's from Because Internet. But visually, like I said, it's very tropical, very kind of laid back and kind of a chill kind of vibe to it. It's actually almost really pop is what I kind of got from it. So going to the first category, mission. What was the mission behind Gambino dropping this mixtape? Well, I believe it's something to kind of just feed us like where he was right after Because the Internet, after the Deep Web tour has wrapped up, what is he even working on? So I think this was just something more for like a little bit of a personal kind of project that he wanted to put out there and just kind of share with everyone. Although, it's a little bit strange, with the whole tropical kind of theme when this is kind of a fall, winter, kind of movement that we're in right now. So it's interesting, but the mission is a little bit vague, Like I said, it seems a little bit more of a personal project. It has a lot of his own personal tones and his own personal lyrics. Has to deal a lot with relationships and a lot with having to go through life, facing backlash and facing like a lot of backlash he's been faced for. So that's the kind of mission of it. It's a little bit vague, but it's there. The production on this mixtape, it's just, it's top notch. It's definitely not perfect. There's a lot of inconsistencies I found with the BPM kind of a little going out of like whack sometimes. It seemed almost like it wasn't exactly like proofread, to kind of say, I guess. But it's interesting. I love the musical. Musically, he's just really incredible. Lyrically as well, obviously, but musically, he really knows exactly what he's doing. So production is pretty strong in this. Not top notch, but it is very, very strong. The atmosphere and direction. The atmosphere and direction I got from this mixtape was, like I said, it's a mixtape. It's just kind of like a side project he's working on. It really, is a really nice collection to kind of had probably before Because the Internet. Obviously this was done after, but I kind of would have liked it a little bit like right after Camp. It would have been a really nice transition from, his kind of Camp era with that whole, him as a writer and moving more into music and, getting a taste of what would have been in Because the Internet. So I would have liked it a little bit right before Because the Internet, but it does really work well on its own, and definitely a mixtape you should check out. Now, presentation consistency. This is, like I said, this is a little bit one of the stronger points because he knows exactly how to keep a whole album or a concept album tied together. The lyrics all flow together. The music, the production on the music, it all really is consistent. You're not gonna have, slow R&B songs and then really hard rap in any of his albums. If it's an album that's supposed to be one of those things, it will be just one of those things. Like I said, this is a mixture of kind of like a pop with like a sort of like a new chill wave kind of hip hop that he's kind of has a flavor for. I really was reminded of as far pop as dancey goes, like with Timberlake music, all the way to a little bit more like new wave stuff with Toro y Moi, which I'm a really big fan of as well. So kind of mash those together and throw in some hip hop, and that's kind of what you got from this mixtape. The last category is sound. The sound, it was really pleasant to hear. Of course, it didn't really fit the kind of whole tone of fall and winter and this kind of schedule where he dropped it, but I liked it. Overall, it was really nice for a mixtape. 7 tracks, that's all you need. My one biggest discrepancy with this album is, if you can see in the picture on the above, it says Jaden Smith as the boy, or the kid, whatever it is. I think it's the boy, and that is on the track Late Night in Kauai. That's the one track that totally took me out of it. Maybe it's because I'm not a fan of Jaden Smith and anything he has ever done before, really, besides, his role in The Pursuit of Happiness. I mean, he's supposed to be an actor, so why he's making a feature on this mixtape, I have no idea. I mean, of course, a lot of hip-hop artists, a lot of rap artists love to get comedians and actors to kind of feature on this track. It kind of, in a way, reminded me of Kanye West when he had Chris Rock on Blame Game, at the very end. It's such an awesome little cameo. But Jaden Smith kind of narrating the introduction to Late Night in Kauai didn't make sense at all. It sounded like a high school poetry jam, So it was extremely lame. Sorry, I just have to put it out there. It's extremely lame. Maybe it's just my own, kind of grief with Jaden Smith. I just don't really see how he adds to media, really, in a positive light. So it could be that. But to me, really, it's just the whole lyrics in that one track, even Gambino's, don't make any sense. It just kind of sounds, like I said, a poetry kind of jam, which are really cool on their own, but throwing it in some sort of kind of weird song didn't make any sense. It totally took me out of the moment. But overall, like I said, if you just ignore that track, that's the one track I had to delete from my from this mixtape. Other than that, really strong mixtape, and you should definitely check it out. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to comment and subscribe, and keep it locked, and goodbye, Dudley.